It's a privilege to once again join you at this 10th edition of the media launch of the CEO Summit. Let me congratulate NSDGFJG for a very good job done in carrying this torch for all of us for a decade. It's not very easy to build something. It's definitely more difficult to sustain it. 10 years is a long time. NS, congratulations for creating such a fantastic platform for all our CEOs in Ghana. Now, this year's theme is accelerating Ghana's economic transformation, driving bold reforms through leadership, technology, and industrialization for sustainable growth. Now, this theme is very important because the world is in a crisis. We were sold the story of globalization some decade or more ago, where we were made to believe that once people were talented, once people had capacity, once people had core competencies, and once they had the right legal documentation, companies and people could move across borders, taking their talent wherever it was wanted, and making the best of their productive skills. In fact, Thomas Friedman said in the Lexus and the olive tree that the playing field is being leveled, and described it as a global web-enabled playing field in which people could collaborate and compete more freely than ever before. But what we have today is far from that promise. Today the world is fragmented. We're living with forces that defy the market. Countries can walk into countries and take them over. Business leaders can be abducted. Business rules can change. And most of the financial rules are against globalization. Being African, you can find that your legal identity makes it more difficult to open an account in another country. So you feel excluded just because you're African. To transfer money from north to south is a challenge because the financial rules will immediately flag it and ask for serious documentation to prove that the source of the money is real. Whereas transferring money from south to north is much easier and doesn't cause any more problems. So this geopolitical risk and economic exposure means that we have to think about industrialization and about technology, about how we advance the national agenda and increase productivity and efficiency in Ghana and in Africa in a different way. Today, due to an attack on Iran, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Over 20% of the oil that passes through the world is stopped from reaching its sources. We are not the ones who attacked anybody. We have nothing to do with the nuclear bomb or the geopolitical situation that we have. But the consequences affect all of us. So as we think about improving industrialization and technology, we cannot ignore that even though the world is connected globally, that global connection is not necessarily in our favor. Neither do we control the outcomes or the consequences of what others do. So as a country, we have to think about building resilience. We're not just global, but our interest is local. What happens if in technology, all the digital platforms that we subscribe to, the Microsofts and the Googles, the ChatGPTs, and so on, disappear because Ghana enters into a feud with the United States or some other country who controls our digital platforms? What is our redundancy? What is our risk mitigation? What are our business continuity strategies? We cannot continue to treat business as we have in the past. We have to protect our people, our institutions, and our economies against disruptions of which we have no control. Last year, I spoke about the subsea cable disruptions that affected parts of West Africa, including Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. The control point then was that we cannot continue to build critical systems on the assumption that access, continuity, and stability will always be guaranteed by others. Whether such disruptions are accidental or deliberate, or something in between, the lessons are the same. Dependence carries risk. What we are seeking now is that same vulnerability being exposed again through war and geopolitical disruption far beyond our borders. When we think about supply chain and import substitution, we need to understand the global disruptions and cost vulnerabilities that affect industrialization and production. We have to think locally and transfer most of the supply chain locally so we can control our own destiny, whether it's about gold or it's about salt. We must build systems and processes that ensures that despite the vulnerabilities, we're able to become champions in our own local culture. The digital economy is often described as if it exists somewhere in the air. It depends on cables, data centers, chips, logistics, power systems, and concentrated processing chains. Even the so-called cloud is not abstract, it is infrastructure. A 2-kilogram computer requires about 800 kilograms of raw materials across its life cycle. With a smartphone requires around 70 kilograms. Cyber security in this context is no longer a narrow technical issue. It is part of economic planning, institutional resilience, and national continuity. The world is no longer shaped only by those with armies, oil, or money. It is increasingly shaped by those who control data networks, digital infrastructure, computing capacity platforms, and the ability to deny, shut down, suspend, or surveil or restrict access. The paradox is that in Africa, instead of focusing on building capacity locally so that we can control not just our raw materials, because raw materials are now being predicted by AI, but also our own technical platforms. We're still looking north. This has to change. Value addition, import substitution, food sufficiency must be made local. Policy must frame it. Private sector actors who take risks and have subject matter expert knowledge, core competencies, and track records of succeeding in a small way must be amplified. Government policy must support it. Now, at the Baiden ID Group, that philosophy has shaped how we build our business. The group was not built as a narrow operator in one corner of the value chain. It was built deliberately across 3 connected areas because critical systems require capability across multiple layers. Our first company was a technology company called Baiden ID Systems Application. This is where our systems are conceptualized, designed, and built. Even though we use subcontractors, most of our programming is done locally. Our Ghanaians who come from all over the world have been trained all over the world and have the capacity to build solutions locally at scale. Our second platform is a manufacturing platform that manufactures secure documents across identity, payments, certifications, and any kind of high security production, which is up to central bank level, which means currency printing security. Right here in Ghana. In order to ensure that these businesses are not just local, we needed to standardize and to show to the world that we are the quality where we can play globally, as many companies should. So we have 8 important international ISO certifications. If we want to industrialize the scale and increase our technology output and be efficient and effective, then we need to certify to show that even though we can grow locally, we can have global quality. Now the last platform that I want to talk about is public-private partnerships. You know, the SPVs that we create in different countries are public-private partnerships through which national scale identity systems are delivered with governments, not just in Ghana, but in other African countries. This 3-part structure is intentional. Technology development, secure card manufacturing, and public-private partnerships. Digital capability, physical capability, and implementation capability. It reflects a practical understanding that if you want quality, continuity, security, and long-term resilience, you have to build capability across as much of the value chain as you possibly can. Even then, one company is not enough. There are several companies in Ghana doing well who have the capability to scale. We need to empower them. We need to put policy frameworks that allow them to build a competency and the regulatory environment to allow the private sector to fill the part the government can in order to increase our market size and to improve productivity. I hope that this CEO summit will bring about leadership that will encourage the private sector to achieve the theme that has been set out for us, to accelerate our industrialization, to build resilient systems with redundancy, business continuity, and risk mitigation, to localize most of the change here. It is the only way that we can improve as an economy. We need a complete orientation change. We need a complete reset of our basic work. And we need the public and private to work together to create a meritocratic, open, objective, transparent system in which productivity is the key and self-reliance is the guide. I hope that at this summit, these ideas and themes will be brought together. It will be a learning experience for all CEOs and will form the basis on which government can think through policy, not just for the short term, but for the medium and long term. Thank you for your attention.